movie mistakes and errors. As with any movie, there are plenty of minor errors and major mistakes to be found in Mad Max. Let's take a look at some of them. At the beginning of the movie, the cars only make sounds when they appear in the frame. Max gets a full back tattoo, but when he runs away, his shirt is completely dry and clean, even though the fresh tattoo must have stained it with blood. The escape scene is clearly sped up, and the blood on Max's forehead appears and disappears. The hook moves gently before he exits the cave, but before Max jumps on it, it somehow stops for his convenience. Joe blasts the water under extreme pressure, but after a couple of seconds, the pressure drops drastically. It's like he's watering his lawn. The point of having this door is unclear when it opens with just a simple turn of a lever, and anyone can do that, as well as breaking the glass ceiling in the room. A tube of blood threaded through a chain keeps disappearing and reappearing in different shots. Buzzard's car catches up with the truck, but in the next shot, it suddenly overtakes it by a few dozen yards. In the same scene, we see a perfectly clear sky as suddenly out of nowhere, a storm appears in front of the characters. The nautical compass on Immortan Joe's dashboard clicks as it spins, though in reality it makes no sound. You can also see how the artificial belly has these strange folds. Furiosa's forehead was stained with fuel oil. It gets much cleaner in the middle of the fight, and by the end, the dirt is all but gone, as is the blood around her mouth and nose, by the way. Toast, the knowing, reports that the fighters from the city are coming for them, but she has no way of knowing this, as they appear from behind the hill only a few seconds after she says so. At this point, the hose is disconnected from the tank, but a couple seconds later, it is back in place. Nux falls out the car window headfirst, but lands on his back when the camera angle changes. Besides, if a person hits the sand with tremendous force, they would probably break several bones and wouldn't be able to get up and run right away. When Nux accidentally gets caught on the grate, you can see that the chain was pre-tied to it. Upon entering the archway, the flag on the truck breaks off, but after a short time, it goes back in place as if nothing happens. During the conversation with Capable, you can see black dots on Nux's tumors, but they're nowhere to be found before or after. Toast the Knowing says that there are 4 rounds left, and after one shot, she warns Max that there are only 2 rounds left.
You've got 2 left!
Even though it should have been 3. If in real life Max had let Furiosa fire the rifle leaning against his shoulder, he would have permanently lost his hearing. Furiosa says that they have enough fuel for another 160 days of motorcycle travel. However, there is no way they could transport around 2,600 gallons of gasoline. Besides, they'd probably need a couple tons of water and food, and it is impossible to transport all of that away on motorcycles by any stretch. Moreover, in 160 days of driving at a relatively easy pace, they would have covered the length of Australia twice. Then the characters decide to capture the Citadel, trapping the fighters in the mountains. However, the fighters would surely escape the trap after a while and their plan would fail. Furiosa claims that the truck's engine died, but if that were really the case, there's no way Nux could have fixed it on the fly in a couple of minutes. A polecat strikes the woman in the neck with a chainsaw, and later she has only a small scratch, and the woman not only survives, but is also able to stab the enemy with a bullet with amazing strength and accuracy. Valkyrie shoots the windshield of Immortan Joe's car several times, but soon the bullet marks disappear and then reappear. Furiosa pulls the knife out of her wound and throws it to the floor, but after a while it magically reappears in her side. The People Eater's car explodes as soon as Max jumps out of it, but then it becomes perfectly intact only to explode again. It's odd that at the beginning of the movie, Joe is perfectly comfortable wearing the mask like a respirator, but at the end it rips half his face off. Joe's body falls to the ground parallel to the car, but in the next shot, it is arranged perpendicularly. And when people run up to it, it's obvious that there's no body there, just clothes spread out on the sands. Rictus stands in the fire, but because the flames that rise up his legs are digital, they don't burn him at all. It's also amazing how throughout the movie, the engines of the cars without any air filtration whatsoever run smoothly in the dust storms and almost never fail. In some scenes, the characters grab onto the exhaust pipe, but they heat up to over 340 degrees Fahrenheit, so holding onto them with bare hands would be impossible. Maybe you've noticed other inaccuracies in the movie? Let us know in the comments. Deleted scenes. It is known that the original version of the movie was about 4 hours long. However, according to Miller, most of the cuts were made to scenes that did make it into the final cut. But the creators also had to cut a few standalone episodes, which were later released on Blu-ray. So, in one of the most interesting scenes, a woman offers one of Immortan Joe's minions her newborn baby and asks him to make it into a half-life warrior. However, after discovering mutations on the child's body, the man returns it to the mother, stating that it will not last long. Then she drops the infant and offers herself as a source of valuable milk. Perhaps this episode was cut to avoid accusations of showing child abuse. Margaret Sixel said that it was very difficult for her to pick suitable takes with Tom Hardy because of his inappropriate approach to some scenes. He often tried to play comedy when the situation required him to be serious. In the original movie, Valkyrie appears nude on screen, but in some international versions, this scene has been altered. They added underwear to the character to avoid getting a stricter age rating.